Hey everybody, I am David, and today I want to talk about Star Wars. Of course, you know, we've had some spin-off films such as Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and most recently Solo, a Star Wars story. And I think most people can agree we really want Obi-Wan, or maybe it would be called Kenobi, a Star Wars story. But there is another spin-off that I would like to see that I don't think I've seen a lot of people mention. Maybe they haven't thought about this. Maybe some people have thought about it, but I haven't seen some of these shout-outs for this type of a spin-off movie for Star Wars. I would actually like to see a movie about the Clone Troopers. Now, hear me out. Yes, it would be a prequel era Star Wars movie, but I think it's a much-needed one because the Clone Troopers obviously worked for the Republic and fought side by side with the Jedi during the Clone Wars. Obviously, there's the Clone Wars is coming back. Star Wars: The Clone Wars as a series. That's really cool. For one final season, one final hurrah, closing the book on that story. But I still think a movie is warranted. Now, I don't want it to be an animated movie. Don't get me wrong, like the animated movie that series started with, that turned out not to be a good idea. Never put a TV show on the big screen because it's going to fail no matter what. Always movie-eyes it. If you're going to put an animated movie on the big screen, make sure it's a really good animated movie. That felt like 3 episodes stitched together and they called it a movie. I don't want that. I want a legit live-action clones movie that takes place after Revenge of the Sith, showing that maybe some of the clones rebelled against the Empire, which was apparently in expanded lore. I don't know my Star Wars expanded lore as well as others. I know what some people told me, that the clones, some of the clones eventually do rebel, and they actually kind of set this up in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the series. In one of the final seasons, some of the clones find out that they have chips in their necks. I believe it was in their necks, and that whenever someone said execute Order 66, they would lose control and try to kill the Jedi. That's their explanation on why the clones turned against the Jedi. And I really want them to do a movie for this because I think for the general audience, it is not clear that the Clone Troopers and the Stormtroopers are two separate entities. I think when Finn takes off his helmet in The Force Awakens, I think there are some people confused, like, wait a minute, I thought these guys were clones. Even though they do have the clones throwaway line in The Force Awakens, I don't think a lot of people really caught that line. Like, if you were to tell my parents, like, the difference between the Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers, they would not know the difference at all. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people that are like that as well, that don't know how some of them, like Rex, rebelled against Empire. Now, even Star Wars Rebels goes into this a little bit more, telling that part of the story. And that's where I think an actual movie for the clones, maybe even based on Rex, would actually work in a movie environment. I think there are stories for the clones that survived after Revenge of the Sith that you can tell. And yeah, Rex, like I mentioned, is a perfect character since we know he survived because he's in Star Wars Rebels along with 2 other clones. I think it would be interesting to explore that and see how did they survive and what were they doing throughout that time. Now, there was that retcon recently, maybe, that one of the clones was in Return of the Jedi. Obviously, they're much older because the clones do age. Now, another question that a lot of people might bring up, well, do you bring back Tamora Morrison or do you recast him? For me, if you're doing a little bit older, like maybe if you go 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, I think, yeah, you can recast Um, I would keep Tamora Morrison personally. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's actually a good actor. If you're really worried about them, surround him with a really good supporting cast, and just like Batman Begins or Superman the movie, you know, they casted an unknown or relatively unknown, and surrounded them with a really strong supporting cast. That's how I would always. I think a movie like that would serve. But that being said, you know, guys, this is just one idea of many spin-offs that I'm sure a lot of fans would like to see. That was my dog tipping over, if you heard that bang. But yeah, that's a movie that I would like to see, and I'm sure there's many more. Let's just stay away from the Ewok movies. They had their shot. You know, Ewoks had their movies. That we don't need no Ewok, a Star Wars story, or Wicket, a Star Wars story. I think we're good for that, for those 2 TV movies they gave us back in the 1980s. With that being said, I hope you guys comment below and leave your thoughts. Do you want to see a Clone Wars movie? And I'm not talking about not Clone Wars, but Clone Troopers, you know? Like, do you want to see the further adventures of maybe some clones? Maybe even some that we haven't seen. Some, you know, because there's so many of them, you can just reach in and take them out and say, here, you're alive, make a story for us. I don't know. So comment below, tell me your thoughts. Maybe you can even throw Darth Vader in there if you want. That would be cool, you know. Tarkin can show up too, maybe even before he was a CGI character. And with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, take care.